When you hear about workplace sexual harassment, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Probably a single awful incident, right? But what if that's not the whole picture? What if it's actually a systemic issue with consequences that ripple out from one person to their entire company and even to the economy of a whole nation? Well, in this explainer, we're going to follow those ripples and uncover the true systemic cost of harassment.
And hey, this isn't just a theory. The highest court in India has literally described this as having a chilling effect on women's participation in the workforce. Just think about that phrase for a second. A chilling effect. It perfectly captures how serious this is. It's a recognized official barrier to progress.
So here's our game plan. We'll start by defining what this crisis really is, then we'll trace its impact from the individual to their organization and all the way out to society. And we'll wrap up by looking at what we can actually do about it, the pathways to healing.
All right, first up, a systemic, cascading crisis. The two words you really want to hang on to here are systemic and cascading, because this isn't about one bad thing happening, it's about a chain reaction.
Here's the key thing to get. Workplace sexual harassment is officially recognized as a systemic problem. We're talking global bodies like the World Health Organization and laws like India's POSH Act. That's the Prevention of Sexual Harassment Act. This means it's understood to be a fundamental issue, kind of baked into our systems, with these negative effects that just spread outwards.
So, let's zoom right into the heart of the issue, the impact on individuals. This is ground zero. It's where the harm begins, and as we're about to see, it's deep, it's complex, and it often lasts a lifetime.
It's a simple sentence, but it says everything. The damage isn't something someone just gets over. It can fundamentally change a person's life and well-being.
Okay, now check this out. This table is so telling. Look how it breaks down the damage. Let's take the psychological row. In the short term, you see immediate things like anxiety and fear. But follow that line over to the long term, and it can escalate to serious clinical conditions like PTSD and depression. It's the same pattern for physical health. It starts with stress, like headaches and losing sleep, and can lead to chronic illness. Professionally, what starts as just losing focus can end in losing your job or seeing your career stall out completely. And socially, feeling isolated can morph into this long-term distrust that makes it hard to form relationships. It really shows how that initial harm just grows and spreads over time.
Now, let's follow that ripple outward to the cost to organizations. Because all that individual harm, it doesn't just stay with one person. It directly hits a company's performance, its stability, and yeah, absolutely, its bottom line.
Let's talk numbers for a second. First, productivity. In teams where harassment is happening, you see productivity drop by 20 to 30%. That is a massive hit to performance.
And when people inevitably leave that kind of environment, the cost to replace them is anywhere from 1.5 to 2 times their annual salary. That's a huge, direct financial drain.
Then there's the legal risk. Under India's POSH Act, the minimum fine for a company is 50,000 rupees. And that's just the starting point. It doesn't even touch the insane costs of lawyers, litigation, and settlements.
But beyond the money you can count, the other costs are just as brutal. I mean, think about it. Your company's reputation gets destroyed, investors lose confidence, and suddenly you can't attract the best people. A toxic culture just kills innovation. And then you've got the bystander effect, where even people who weren't targeted feel their morale sink. It truly poisons the whole place.
Okay, now we're zooming out to the final, widest ripple, the toll on society. Because this is so much bigger than just a workplace problem. It's so widespread that it actually fuels social and economic inequality on a national level. Just look at this chart. In India, only 27% of women are in the labor force. 27%. Unsafe workplaces are a huge reason why this number is so depressingly low, which holds back women's economic freedom and keeps old-fashioned social norms in place. So what's the economic price tag for that? Well, the combined loss in productivity is estimated to drag down the entire country's GDP by 1 to 2%. That is a staggering loss that ends up affecting every single citizen. And the societal costs just keep piling up. All that trauma puts a bigger burden on public health services. When people feel the system fails them, it erodes their trust in our courts and companies. And maybe the most dangerous part? It helps normalize a broader culture where violence and disrespect are seen as, well, normal.
So, that is the problem. It is big, it's complex, and it is incredibly damaging. But, and this is a big but, it is not hopeless. So let's pivot to the final part of our explainer, pathways to healing. This has to be a multi-level approach, one that can tackle the harm and help us recover. This is the question that really matters, isn't it? After seeing the scale of all this damage,
How do we actually break the cycle of harm and start a real process of healing?
The solution has to be as layered as the problem itself. First, at the individual level, we have to provide things like trauma-informed counseling and affordable legal help. Then, you move up to the organizational level. Companies have to do more than just check a compliance box. They need to build a real culture of accountability with strong policies and bystander training. And finally, at the societal level, we need huge public campaigns to make this behavior unacceptable, backed by laws that are actually enforced.
And this is the ultimate goal. It's a strategic shift. We have to stop being reactive, just putting out fires after they start, and start being proactive. We have to build cultures of respect, safety, and equity right from the very beginning.
So, we'll end here. Real safety isn't found in being silent. It's built when people take action and demand accountability. And so the final question isn't really for me to answer. It's for you, for your workplace, for all of us. What are you going to do to build a culture of respect?